at the end of this movie, we see some photos or video of you with your grandmother. There's a scene that's like directly written into the movie that kind of captures her, her persona. Why did you want to make a film inspired by someone in your family?
My grandma's always been sort of my hero ever since I was a kid. I mean, we've been close ever since I was, I was going to say ever since I was a child, which is technically correct, but I suppose kind of obvious. She's someone who's been just a really meaningful part of my life and a real constant. And then, the movie's based sort of on this phone scam that she fell for and almost sent a bunch of money. And luckily in real life, we were able to intervene before that went too far. But it sort of got my wheels turning just to see her taken advantage of in that way, because she's always been so capable and sturdy. And I started imagining what it would be like if she had sent the money and then kind of set it on her own to get it back. So in a way, it was just a way to sort of honor her and write something that's just an ode to her strength and her tenacity, which is something I've always admired and hoped I have some fraction of. But
well, it's amazing that it was a scam that kind of inspired this, and wow. So, and I think it's very sharply written too. Right at the start, you say, Thelma says, "If I fall, I'm toast," which is why I don't fall. And that says, I think everything you need to know about this character and her conviction and what the stakes are for this kind of action thriller in a way. So
yeah, totally.
And then you've got Parker Posey and Clark Gregg doing some big screwball. So, I mean, what were some of your inspirations for this and how really you came up with this story?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I've always loved action movies, just had an affinity for them ever, since I was young. And I think something about the idea of treating my grandma's story with the stakes of an action movie, but basically sort of shrinking them down to a really human scale. And, like you said, just exploring the stakes of getting around a city, for starters, when you're that age and how these smaller things present greater dangers. And I basically wanted to try to get into her subjective experience as much as I could and make it feel tense and fun and exciting to watch her sort of do these feats. And so, yeah, for some reason, Mission Impossible, I've been a big fan of those for a long time. And for some reason, the idea of combining those with a story about my grandma just made sense to me. And I hope, feels of a piece in the movie itself. But that was sort of how those ideas came about. The idea that it would sort of be this story about her taking things into her own hands sort of perked up the idea of bringing in those genre elements and trying to explore her story through those.
It's really grounded too. It doesn't feel completely off the wall, but it's in a good way like that. And I watched this and I never got the sense that Thelma is doing things that a 94-year-old woman can't do.
Oh, that's good. That was the hope. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, why not have her go full John Wick and just kind of be ridiculous, doing things that are. Why did you want to ground it in that way?
I think I never wanted it to feel like parody. I never wanted it to feel like we were sort of almost poking fun at her in that way. I wanted it to be funny. I wanted it to be fun and hopefully engaging and tense where it should be tense. But I think to me, part of what was so interesting about it was trying to hug the reality of it, because I felt like the stakes there actually were high enough if we could kind of zoom in, so to speak, and feel them. So to me, just the most exciting way in was always trying to keep it as human as I could, as grounded as I could, and then sort of let it ratchet up gradually, I guess, as the movie goes. I think that was always a big piece of the alchemy of it, just at every phase in the writing and the production, and then in the edit and the music and all of it, just trying to find an organic build. So it never felt like we sort of flipped over into a genre movie, but that we sort of used that to, push the story along in a way.
June Squibb is fantastic in this movie. Is she doing her own stunts? Is she doing, talk about finding her, I mean, not finding her, she's, but talk about working with her and what she really brought to this story.
She was the best. She's like, she's the heart and soul of the thing. She's like the anchor of the whole project. And it's funny, at the beginning of the process, I think we wanted, like I said, I wanted there to be a sense of reality, but we were going to, we had a stunt team and we were going to try to be creative about it. And then as the shoot went on, June kind of wanted to do more and more of these stunts. She'd just, be like, yeah, I can do that. That's fine. You want me to get on the bed? I can get on the bed. And there were these, so little by little, I'd say we started kind of figuring out where that line was and trusting her to do more and more. And she ended up doing quite a bit by the end of it, actually. And in every way, she was just always setting a tone of like, just being such a pro. And I think everybody around her, whenever, you know, you're on set with her in any capacity, I think it just brought out the best in everybody. Because both we all, you know, were thinking about her safety and wanting to make sure she was, you know, gonna be okay, but also she's just such a pro and so cool and so on it. And I think it was motivating to all of us to be like, wow, okay, we have to match June. We have to get to her level.
That's incredible. And this is also like the final film for Richard Roundtree, for Shaft himself. I mean, what was it like working with him and knowing that this is, probably his final on-screen performance? What is that like for you?
It's, you know, it's a lot to process in a way. I really loved him. He was a really, really warm guy, a really, really lovely guy, a great actor. He was, in a way, like June, someone who on set, I think everybody just was happy to be around him and really, you know, brought out the best in people. And it was, you know, just a really, really lovely experience working with him. And he was so excited to do the movie. I think he was excited to get the chance to play something that sort of cut against the thing he was most known for. I mean, obviously it plays on the, you know, the action genre too, but his character is definitely very different than Shaft. And so I think that was something he was itching to do. And that was also a big part of, you know, when we met, it just felt like he was drawn to it in a way where I was like, okay, it's got to be Richard. He's the guy. I can tell.
Okay. And you just got to take me through this ending sequence where she's, you know, trying to transfer the money.
Oh, yeah.
How did you, I was losing it when she says, it's trying to make me join a gym. Like, how did you write this scene?
Oh man, that's a good question. To me, it was just the ultimate, you know, the ultimate version of trying to take something from an action movie, sort of the equivalent of a scene where, you know, somebody's hacking into a, you know, mainframe, if you will, and shrink that down to, you know, the things my grandma struggles with. And so I just tried to sort of follow that thread of that idea and you know, create a climax sort of, without giving too much away, built around that, that sort of notion.